the prospect of getting bike racks, so we just worked with them to figure out how many they needed, where would the best spot be for them, and we made it happen. They were very happy with it. Demand has been so high, which that's a good problem to have. We know that the need is there. All of our remaining bike racks are spoken for, but we are in the process of ordering more for the next fiscal year, so people can check out our website and fill out our bike rack request form. Maybe a week or a month will go by and I'll ride past them and see bikes parked on them. It's always a really good feeling.
Bahama Mama. I always called her Bertha. She was a big old girl. She was great. She did not do well in the shelter. I sent her out to foster and she plays with their 3 other animals and she's like living her best life. So foster is very important because if she wouldn't have had a foster family, I'm not for sure where her outcome would have been. The shelter is loud, it's scary, it's overwhelming. So fosters help out so much because they get time to decompress, be themselves. A lot of the behaviors that most dogs have in the shelter, they don't have them outside of the shelter. We have a pretty good amount of fosters and we're always looking for more. We supply all the bedding, food, any supplies that you may need, and all you have to do is just open up your home and extra space for an animal to hang out for a little while. We have a great group of fosters that communicate with each other, give good support. We usually are able to give good support and tips so we can help them be as successful fosters as possible. I've been at Solid Waste for about 4.5 years. My name is Mary Burton, and my title is a packer driver. It's challenging some days. I mean, you really do have to have skills driving. We go in tight alleys, we make tight turns. I have to watch the road, I have to watch them because, you know, traffic is coming 24/7, so I have to keep my head on a swivel the whole time because I just have to ensure everybody makes it safe. It could be rain and hail and all that, we're still out there. So I wish people would take that more into consideration. Say our incentive here, whenever I get my route done, being able to leave early, that's one part of it. And then the community, really, they're like family. You know, you have your regulars that come out, give you water, speak to you. You have the kids that come out. So that really makes my day. I mean, I love my job and I would like to see more women working with me. I just encourage more women to apply. People may think the job is hard, but I mean, anybody can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Hi, I'm Kayla with Louisville Water, and this is Made with Pure Tap, a special segment where we're highlighting some amazing local businesses that use water to make their products. Here in Louisville, we're proud of our drinking water. It's so good, we even gave it a name, Louisville Pure Tap. Today, we're at Rabbit Hole Distillery. Let's go see how they're using Louisville Pure Tap to make their one-of-a-kind spirits.
Hi, my name is Kaveh Zamanyan, and I'm the founder of Rabbit Hole. I started Rabbit Hole because I've always had a real soft spot for fine wine and spirits. I cut my teeth in the hospitality business. Louisville, of course, is the gateway to the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. It's my hometown now, and it's important to start a company here in Louisville in part because of the ingredients. In addition to the grains, Louisville Pure Tap is a critical part of what goes into our products. One of the most important things when it comes to water is to make sure that you don't have iron and sulfur, essentially ingredients that are not good for bourbon production. And one of the most important things about Louisville Water and Louisville Tap is that it's essentially good water, perfect for distilling. One of the things that makes Rabbit Hole unique is the fact that the distillery is set up like a culinary kitchen. We make what I describe as extreme small batch, meaning that every batch is generally about 20 to 23 barrels. But collectively, when you put the whole facility together, we're able to produce 27,000 barrels a year.
Kaveh, we're proud to give Rabbit Hole Distillery the Made with Pure Tap seal of approval. Thank you for your commitment to quality and for using Louisville Pure Tap. Cheers.
What do I think about hope?
Hope. Let's see.
Hope to me means the light at the end of the tunnel.
You can't get by without hope. Hope means nothing without a plan.
I'm a coach. I'm also a father. I'm a husband. When I take off this uniform, I'm the same person behind the badge. The badge doesn't make me, I make the badge.
Our town is full of people who just want to do good, who want to make a difference.
Louisville is home, very much so. It is my home.
I just hope that we grow into being a very trusting, loving community.
Not just that, people from here are more open-minded. I don't know, me, myself, I feel very happy here.
We are Louisville.
We're Louisville.
We're a big city, but we're really a small town.
People feel safe. People feel comfortable. That's my favorite version of Louisville.
We are Louisville.
We are Louisville. We form together as one, and there are things that bind us together here.
I wish that we could pull together and be the change and be able to love each and every part of our community and lift the people up that need lifted.
I want to be an answered prayer, and that's what we have the opportunity as a police officer.
We are one metro. We have one mission, building a safe.
Hi, I'm Kayla with Louisville Water, and this is Made with Pure Tap, a special segment where we're highlighting some amazing local businesses that use water to make their products. Here in Louisville, we're proud of our water. Louisville Pure Tap is an anchor for the small business community and an important ingredient in some tasty products. Today, we're at River Green Cocktails. Let's go see how they're using Louisville Pure Tap.
Hi, my name is Danielle Mann, and I'm the owner of River Green Cocktails. We are a local canned cocktail company right here in Louisville, Kentucky. We make all of our canned cocktails with premium gin, real fruit juices, natural sweeteners, and Louisville Pure Tap water. A good water source is really important for our canned cocktails. We use about 8 to 9 ounces in each 12-ounce can, and so it's important to us that we have a really good water. When we started this business and we're creating the cocktails, we considered filtering the water. So a lot of canned cocktail companies will use filtered water, and we said, well, why would we do that? Louisville Pure Tap water is the best water in the country. So we are a registered Kentucky Proud company. It's really important for us to use as many local ingredients as possible. For example, we have a bee's knees cocktail. It's made with premium gin, real lemon juice, and a honey that we get from a bee farmer out of Columbia, Kentucky. River Green cocktails are available throughout the state of Kentucky.
Danielle, we're proud to give River Green Cocktails the Made with Pure Tap seal of approval. Thank you for your commitment to quality and using Louisville Pure Tap. Cheers.
Just making sure that the city's safe and clean. Eddie Elfeline, street sweeping team.
Metro TV will be starting in 30 seconds. Did you say that we floated around? Good afternoon. I'm Councilman Kevin Kramer. This is Thursday, May 8th. It is 4:33. We're starting the Budget Committee meeting, and then immediately after the Budget Committee meeting, we will begin the first budget hearings for the session. So joining me in council chambers is Councilman Piagentini, Councilwoman Parker, Councilwoman Woolridge, Councilman Owen, Councilman Hudson, Councilwoman McCraney, Councilman Lininger. I think that's it for, Councilman Sine. I think that's it for in chambers. And then joining me online is Councilwoman Shamika Parrish-Wright. I think that's everybody. Great. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. So I'm going to ask that the clerk read into the record the virtual meeting rules.
This meeting is being held pursuant to KRS 61.826 and Council Rule 5A, read in full.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and move through the agenda the way it is before you. So the first couple items, I believe, will be pretty quick. I want to make sure we have time to carry on some conversation about the MSD's request. So ordinance 09225, it's an ordinance amending ordinance number 100, series 2024, relating to the fiscal year 2024-2025 operating budget, by transferring $3,000 from the Neighborhood Development Fund for District 14 to the Louisville Metro Council General Operations District 14. Can I get a motion? Okay, it's properly before us. This is sponsored by Councilwoman Bast. I don't know if she's here to speak to it or if there's someone from her office. It's $3,000, so it's less than the $5,000. So we really haven't requested folks to come and speak. So unless there are questions, I'm going to go ahead and entertain a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the voting.
Voting is open. Councilwoman Parrish-Wright?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCraney?
Yes.
Councilman Owen? Councilman Hudson? Chair Kramer, you have 11 yes votes.
Great, thank you. Goes to consent. Item number 2 is ordinance 09325. It is an ordinance amending ordinance number 100, series 2024, relating to fiscal year 2024-2025 operating budget by transferring $5,000 from the Neighborhood Development Fund District 13 to the Louisville Metro Council General Operations District 13. Can I get a motion? It's properly before us. Councilman Sine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're just trying to transfer some money over into our general funds for operating our satellite office in Fairdale. Appreciate your support.
Questions from colleagues? Seeing none, this is ordinance calls for a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please open the voting.
Voting is open. Councilwoman Parrish-Wright?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCraney?
Yes.
Councilman Owen,
Yes.
Councilman Hudson. Chair Kramer, you have 10 yes votes. Yes.
Great, thank you. That'll go to the consent calendar. Item number 3 is also Councilman Sam. This is ordinance 09425. It is an ordinance amending ordinance 101, Series 2024, and ordinance 100, Series 2024, relating to year 2024-2025 capital operating budgets respectively by transferring $106,228.58 from the Neighborhood Development Fund in District 13 to the Capital Infrastructure Fund in District 13.
Second.
Great, it's properly before us. Councilman Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, we're having to transfer money to continue work on a capital infrastructure project, and we appreciate your support.
Madam Clerk, please open the, oh, I'm sorry. Questions from colleagues? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please open the voting.
Voting is open. Councilwoman Parrish Wright,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCraney,
Yes.
Chair Kramer, you have 10 yes votes.
Thank you. That will go to the consent calendar. The next item on the agenda is an ordinance approving the 35th supplemental sewer and drainage system revenue bond resolution adopted by the Board of the Louisville and Jefferson County Metropolitan Sewer District, authorizing the issuance of the district's sewer and drainage system revenue and revenue refunding bonds from Series 2025. Okay, it's properly before us. At this point, I'm going to invite MSD to come forward and share with us the plan, and then if you have questions, we can certainly ask. Thank you. And you'll note, colleagues, there's a PowerPoint that we'll be moving through.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and the committee. I'm Tony Parrott. I'm the Executive Director of MSD. Joining me is Mr. Brad Good, who is our CFO. Before you is a ordinance that would authorize the issuance of debt for our fiscal year capital program. Before I get into that, I do want to just give you a little bit of background. As you all know, MSD is a public utility that is critical to our community, and we provide services to over 800,000 folks here in Jefferson County, and also we provide wastewater services to portions of Bullitt and Oldham County. We have 3 utilities in one, stormwater and drainage, wastewater treatment, and flood protection. As evidenced by the last few months, major rain event, localized flooding has been impacting our community, and obviously with our flood protection system, MSD had to be responsive and act quickly to protect our community. During this last flood event in April, we pumped about 12.1 billion gallons out of the city during the flood operations, and we are now going through the assessment of our system after the flood has subsided, and we do know that there are several pump stations and pumps that are damaged, and we also know that because we activated our pump station, we're going to be subject to a LG&E surcharge over the next 12 months, which equates to about $3 million extra a year. So there's a lot of things that are kind of driving our cost, but as we start to put together our budget, the one thing that I would like to point out is our board. We do have a governance system and oversight that is set up by statute. As you all know, the mayor appoints or recommends appointment to folks to be a part of our board. They come before the Governance and Accountability Committee and are approved by Metro Council. We have 8 board seats that are distributed different to state senate districts, and we have, in the last 2 years, had 4 of our 8 members appointed within the last 2 years and 6 within the last 4 years. Our current board makeup, we have 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and 2 independents. And MSD as an organization is not a part of the board appointment or board approval or board of selection process. But our board does govern our annual budget, our rates, our policies, and all of our initiatives, which are really reviewed not only by the full board, but by individual committees that are part of our charter. This series of bonds for 2025 would be there to fund portion of our fiscal year 26 capital projects, which I'll go through in a second, and refinance bonds for some interest savings that we have outstanding. And we also have commercial paper. We've talked to you about us utilizing that as a tool. And so we have a certain limit on commercial paper that periodically we have to convert those into bonds as well. So that's the purpose of the revenue bonds. Under KRS 76, the bonds shall be authorized by our board by resolution, and then before bonds are issued, it has to be authorized by ordinance passed by the legislative body of the city and approved by the mayor. The bonds and other obligations of the sewer district shall not constitute an obligation or an indebtedness to the city or the county of Jefferson. Our preliminary schedule for this 25 revenue bond series is to try to get through the Metro Council ordinance process in May, meeting with our rating agencies in June, and going to the competitive bond sale and closing in August of this year. One of the drivers of our bond program or our debt program, 90% of our capital program, is regulatorily or mandatory by different bodies. And when we do that work, it is dictated based upon stuff from EPA or the state of Kentucky or the Air Pollution Control District or any other regulatory body. Failure to complete those projects that we've agreed to will result in either fines or civil and or criminal penalties. So one of the things that we point out is that as we issue these bonds, and if we don't issue these bonds, it could not only end up into penalties, but it can also require the need to increase our revenues to be able to do the obligations. Or if it's not approved, it could result in a rating downgrade, which would have a catastrophic impact to our financial position. An example on that would be is that if we get downgraded 1 mark, our overall cost for our 5-year program would be approximately $20-some million if we were to get downgraded 1 mark, as an example. And a bond resolution approval does not dictate a rate percentage or message by this body. We will be presenting our budget to the MSD Board Finance and Infrastructure Committee next week, and we will be presenting our final recommendations to the full board on May 27th. There's been some questions about the issuance of debt versus cash financing. We do have a board policy that addresses and sets out policy and procedures on how we proceed to issuing debt. Our debt issuance policy ensures that each bond issue meets all of our legal requirements and ensures our financial strength. So our financial plan is to have a mix of debt and cash, spreading our cost out over time, and ensures that residents benefit from improvements share in the cost rather than placing full cost on the current ratepayer. Debt financing allows improvements to move forward with lower rates now than would be required if projects were entirely cash funded. So we know that, we have a target of trying to have more cash financing, and it is evident that over the last 10 years we have moved from 95% bond issue to our target of 75% bond issue. So we are employing more cash financing, but eliminating debt financing means rates must be higher now or improvements would be delayed, and that could be a problem regulatorily and also implications for our community. When we look at our budgets, where does our user fund rates go? 37% goes to the operation and staffing of our wastewater collection, treatment, and drainage and flood protection system, those 3 utilities. 36% goes to our bonds or outstanding debt and loans that we have to repay. 19% goes into the engineering services, development, and capital projects. Administrative expenses includes all of our back office functions for the 3 utilities and 1% to the reserves. This slide is really just information, and if I could just point out the very last line when we look at the debt funding percentage, kind of gives you the target of how we're trying to be more reliant on cash financing. But given the size of our portfolio over the next 5-year window, the bottom line tells you our target for how much we're going to be able to issue in cash versus how much we're going to have to issue with debt. And so for fiscal year 26, we're coming in at about 79%. Our overall target is to be at 75% or lower as we move out through the next 5 to 10-year window. As I mentioned before, 90% of our requirements are regulatory driven, and again, this just kind of spreads out over the next 5 years. The bottom line, when you look at the percent of our overall CIP for fiscal year 26, is at 90% is regulatorily mandated. And I also want to point out that approximately $49.3 million are required under an agreed order we just signed with the Air Pollution Control District to minimize odors throughout our sewer system. One of the major projects that we have in our 5-year CIP that's under construction is our Patty's Run flood protection system. This is just a snapshot of our overall flood protection system that was commissioned or authorized in 1938, and a lot of the older flood pump stations we have were commissioned around the early 1950s, and some of the later pump stations were commissioned in the 1970s. We have 16 flood pump stations. We were responsible for approximately 27 miles of levee and flood wall and gates. And this just kind of shows you the different areas of inundation in the light blue that are protected by the flood protection system. There was some inundation calculations that happened back in 1938 when the city did flood, and there was a large portion of our community and our downtown and areas that were underwater. And in some areas we were, like in the Great Lawn at 26 feet underwater, and then even out to Slugger Field, we're 14 feet underwater. So really the importance of these, this system is safeguarding over 216,000 people and $34 billion in property value in Jefferson County. This last flood events that we had this year, in February, we pumped 3.7 billion gallons, and again in April, we pumped about 12.1 billion gallons. The thing that I want to point out here is that when we have a flood event, we have to reassign a lot of folks to operate the system. And for example, we used over 155 existing employees to man the flood protection system in February, and over 170 existing employees to man the system in April. These are just some pictures of some of the inundation of the flood in our area. But all in all, we didn't have any major issues inside the flood wall. And so the system worked, even though it is an aging system, and it is prioritized one by one to figure out how we can start to replace these flood protection systems. Patty's Run is the oldest and the first that is under construction. And Patty's Run is approximately $230 million project. That's one project. And that is scheduled to be completed in December of 2027. So this bond issue will help us continue the construction of the Patty's Run project. And I would point out that even though it is a $230 million project, we are supplementing that debt with $74 million in SRF state loans, $6.2 million in forgivable loans, and $14 million in grants. So we have a compilation of financing tools that we use to do these major projects. Another big project that is under construction is the replacement of our biosolids treatment system at our Morris Foreman treatment plant. Again, that project is under construction and won't be completed until 2028. We are supplementing that debt with a low-interest loan from the federal WIFIA program, which has some benefits not only because of low interest, but because of the way we can restructure payment of that loan. So two major projects are pretty much the big drivers for next year. We do have projects that we are planning and executing all over Jefferson County. And this map just kind of shows you some of the projects that are either in planning, design, or construction, so that you can see that we are servicing and doing work in every council district in Jefferson County. This just gives you some of the major projects. The top two I've already talked about, but there's other projects that are in our fiscal year capital plan. And one of the things that we have put out there is that as we are doing this work, we want to make sure that we're able to continue to have customer assistance programs. We're partnering with the Louisville Water Company through our Drops of Kindness program and the Louisville Water Foundation to make sure that not only are we able to provide rate assistance, but we can give flexible payment options and grants through the Louisville Water Foundation and fund those that are needed through community services. Our MSD budget has about $1.9 million in our budget for customer assistance, and we continually look at that to see if that is something that we need to improve. I can tell you that approximately 8,000 households received assistance in our service area, and there's a list of projects that a map of customer assistance that kind of shows you that a lot of folks across Jefferson County take advantage of this benefit and of this program. So, Mr. Chair, that is just sort of the background and some of the projects that are driving the need for the bond ordinance. And me or my CFO are available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. I've got just one to kind of get it started, and I'm going to turn it over to folks in the committee. Can you speak just a little bit to the surcharge you mentioned with LG&E? I think I'm clear on what you're saying, but just for someone else who the first time they heard was LG&E surcharge.
I'll let Brad try to explain that.
Thank you.
So when we have to activate our flood pump stations, obviously it's a huge amount of electricity to operate the flood pump stations. And there are different tiers of surcharges that apply. So in a flood event, when we're running those pumps 24/7, we incur a very high amount of demand for electricity at those particular pump stations. The way LG&E's, I'm probably not going to do a great job of explaining it, but LG&E's rate structure is set up that you pay a portion of those peak demand charges because LG&E has to have the capability to deliver that maximum amount of electricity to that location where you need it. So once we have reset a new level of peak demand, we're going to pay that higher level for the next 12 months, regardless of whether or not we turn the pumps on or not. So after the flood event, we still haven't got our first electric bill post-flood event, but based on what we know and our reading of the tariffs, we think that's going to add about $3 million that we'll be paying just to have that electricity available to us over the next 12 months.
Okay. So again, you're not paying for electricity, you're paying for the opportunity to have electricity at the level that you may need in an unusual event. And so they're just saying, we have to assure that happens, and they're associating a cost with that.
Exactly.
Okay. I guess so a question for LG&E is, what cost do they actually incur versus what charge are they passing on to you? But again, that's not your question, that's theirs. Do I have that right?
You have it right, and this is something we've been discussing with them for the last 8 or 9 years, and obviously it's something that is very impactful. And we know that eventually we may have to have that discussion at the PSC, but it is very impactful to our local ratepayers.
Thank you. And the most recent hit was you're projecting $3 million for that one event.
Yes.
The surcharge going up.
Yes, we really haven't been in this situation since the 2018 floods, which we did have extensive conversations with LG&E following that event about how we could avoid those charges. But it's obviously we haven't had a major flood event in several years. So
great, thank you, Councilman Piagentini.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to start with just a nitpicky thing, and I'm going to sort of ask this of anybody that comes and presents in front of us moving forward. like slide 24, for example, you like cut off Eastern Jefferson County. Like you have an MSD treatment station that doesn't even fit on the map, the way you have it cut. So like half my district isn't on that picture. So I just ask everybody to be cognizant of capturing the whole county when we're talking about the whole county.
Sure.
Currently, the state auditor's office is executing an audit of MSD. Is that correct?
We have not had any conversations yet about a state audit.
You've not had any conversations with the state auditor about an audit yet?
Not yet.
Okay. So, well, we'll follow up with the state auditor's office on that because she said she was going to move forward with that. Because here's what I'm going to say. Well, let me ask one more question. You said next month, maybe, you're making the recommendation to the board related to the budget?
Actually, this month in May.
This month. What are you going to be recommending as far as a rate increase?
We have not made any recommendations yet. We do have our committee meetings next week. And I can tell you, just as I mentioned about the LG&E surcharge and the cost of the flood protection, those are things that we are taking into consideration as we discuss with our board next week.
Let me make sure I'm correct. You're making the recommendation what day?
Our committee is next Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Wednesday. And then our full board meets on May 27th.
You're making a recommendation next week. You don't know what recommendation you're going to make yet?
Well, we have alternatives that we are looking at. We're looking at a couple of alternatives. As you all know, that we have the ability to raise the board has the ability to raise rates approximately 6.9%. And we're looking at multiple alternatives. And we'll be debating those with our board committee next week.
But you're recommending a rate increase?
There will definitely need to be, but not only because of the bonds, but because of the capital requirements.
Okay, sorry, you just triggered another question. I thought you said a second ago this bond issuance will not impact rates. Like that was in bold.
No, I said this bond resolution that you're approving is not an act on rates. It is something that we will be discussing with our board, our Finance and Infrastructure Committee next week, and then making a recommendation to our board on the 27th.
Okay. I'm voting for this because it impacts a project that clearly needs to be done.
Right.
I've been on the record that I'm not convinced that MSD at a macro level is operating in a fiscally efficient manner. That's why I've supported others in calling the state auditor to conduct an audit. I think we need to circle back with them to make sure that's moving forward quickly, because I am deeply concerned. I mean, I was looking backwards in your budget to see what the increases in costs have been. And of course, some of that is driven by certain capital improvements. But, you know, we cannot continue the way we're going. And I need to be more convinced, but these are two separate conversations. I want to be clear with my constituents, with my colleagues. I may not believe that you need to take the same increase as you believe, but I do believe we need to get this project done. So I'm glad to vote on this, but I'm also glad to see, and I will circle back with the auditor's office to find out what the timing looks like on the audit to ensure we get much more visibility into the more macroeconomic situation of MSD so we can get our hands on these chronic rate increases. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Winkler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here. Can you speak to the percentage of both your capital and operating budget that maybe is made up of federal grants or other federal funding, and any potential impacts of what's happening at the federal level on your budget and long-term capital plans?
Thank you, Mr. Winkler. You know, obviously, we did get an influx of some grants after the bipartisan infrastructure bill was passed a couple years ago. And I think I showed where we had received almost $14 million in clean air water grants. We also are maximizing the use of the state SRF program, which is a very low interest loan program. The challenge with the state SRF program is that they have a limit in terms of how much money they can give out. And so I think we've received so much money that we are approaching the cap. So for example, I think we may be eligible for another $15 or $20 million in low interest loans from the state. There's also some forgivable loans that we've gotten. There's some earmarks that we have talked to, for example, Senator McConnell about, and also Representative McGarvey about. Some of those funds have been on hold. We have money that has been, I guess you could say, authorized for the flood protection system, for example, that we are still lobbying to make sure that we can get some of that money appropriated. It would go a long way in helping us address the outdated flood protection systems. There is a challenge because we just found out last week that the current administration has reduced the overall SRF program through EPA by over $300 billion, and that's going to trickle down to the states and impact our ability there. But there is a lot of infrastructure need there, and across the spectrum, whether it's stormwater, wastewater. If you look at the infrastructure grade given by the American Society of Civil Engineers, the grade of national infrastructure for wastewater is like a D or D minus, and for stormwater around a D. And so it's not like the infrastructure getting any better. And in fact, we're hoping that we can get, number one, we can get the clean water SRF program reauthorized at the current level. And we hope that there would be additional monies that would be coming through WRDA, the Water Resource Development Act, or through the Army Corps of Engineers to support funding for our flood protection system. Does that answer your question, sir?
It does in general terms. You don't have a sort of direct dollar number that, like, what your percentage of your budget is. I mean, you mentioned the 14 million.
Right.
But, you know, as a general percentage is 5% of your budget, 10% of your budget, 50% of your budget, depending on federal grants.
In this fiscal year, it's about the 14 million equates to about 5% of our capital budget that's funded with grants.
And that's, the 14 is it, in addition to the loan funds, but yes.
It is.
Okay.
We will continue to draw on those cleaner water grants in fiscal year 26. I think we have roughly another 14. We had about $30 million in total authorized for various projects, and we've drawn about half of that so far.
Councilman Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My questioning is going to take a little bit of a left turn here probably, but data centers are becoming very popular in a lot of proposals being placed. I know of at least 2 in the metropolitan area being proposed. Data centers place an incredible burden on the electrical grid, on the water grid, and I have to think on the wastewater treatment grid. Is there a strategy in place to put the burden of the cost of that utility burden on the owners of those data centers rather than on the ratepayers of Metro Louisville?
David Johnson, our chief engineer, has been engaging a little bit with one of the data centers that are proposed here. Try to address your question.
Thank you.
Councilman Hudson, David Johnson, chief engineer with MSD. Yeah, so when these data centers come in, we have to figure out what kind of flow they're going to put into our system. If they use water-cooled facilities, then the flow to our system is very, very high. But if they use air-cooled, it's very low. But to answer your question, yes, the developer of the property has to pay for the sewer capacity as well as any upgrades to the system to serve their facility. And it is not on the burden of the ratepayers.
Good to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else in the queue, but I have just 2 real quick questions. The first is, when will we be free of the consent decree with the EPA?
The current consent decree that we have for the, I guess you could say, the CSO program, all the projects that we have agreed to, the milestone dates end in 2035. And I think, as we mentioned earlier, obviously we have no control of any other new regulations that are going to come down the road, but our current consent decree ends in 2035.
And I'm guessing it would be overly hopeful to think that we could finish that early.
Well, our milestones are, based upon a schedule that we've laid out. A lot of projects do finish before the scheduled milestone. if there's no problems during construction, or if there's no delays in terms of supply chain and those type of things. We have, beyond just the Morris Forman plant and also the Bells Lane project, we have one more large project before the end of the consent decree, which is another deep tunnel project out in the St. Matthews area. And it's too far out, obviously, to predict how that schedule will go, but we're optimistic that all of the projects that we've agreed to will be done by then or before then.
Okay, great, thanks. I think that was it for me. Any others? Great, thank you. Before we take a vote, I want to point out that we've been joined by a couple different council members. We were joined a bit ago by Councilwoman Chappell and Councilwoman Bast. Since then, Councilman Batchon has come in, Councilman Benson has come in, and we're joined by Councilman Joseph. I believe that captures everybody. Okay, great. If there are no other questions, then this is an ordinance calling for a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, if you please open the voting.
Voting is open. Councilwoman Parrish Wright?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCraney?
Yes.
Chair Kramer, you have 10 yes votes.
Thank you. This will go to consent. Without objection, it'll go to consent. Okay. The last item that we're going to deal with today is item number 5. And this is an ordinance, Ordinance 10325. It is an ordinance amending Ordinance 118, Series 2010, relating to fiscal year 2010-2011 capital budget Ordinance number 115, Series 2017, relating to the fiscal year 2017-2018 capital budget. Ordinance number 72, Series 2020, relating to the fiscal year 2020-2021 capital budget. Ordinance number 88, Series 2021, relating to the fiscal year 2021-22 capital budget. Ordinance number 84, Series 2022, relating to the fiscal year 2022-2023 capital budget. Ordinance number 80, Series 2023, relating to the fiscal year 2023-2024 ordinance. And finally, ordinance number 101, Series 2024, relating to the fiscal year 2024-2025 capital budget, and ordinance number 95, Series 2017, by transferring funds between projects and establishing new projects. It's properly before us. The primary sponsors are Councilmembers Reed and Piagentini. Councilman Piagentini is in the room and has the floor.
Oh, thank you. I was just making sure. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Hopefully you all received via email from Beth. Did you send it out? Yeah, so Beth Stenberg sent it out. Has a description and then a chart broken down by project. I'll be glad to go project by project if everybody wants that level of detail, but to sum it up, as you well know, the Republican caucus in prior years has pooled CIF dollars and put them into individual projects. This was sort of a cleanup largely of surplus funds in completed projects and then moving them to other projects. You can see them, they are detailed here, so this has no impact on the budget. There's no increase or decrease to anything. This is simply moving money around from projects that didn't need the funds to projects that we had planned that have not been funded yet. So, and these are all from, as you heard, prior year budget CIF funds. So glad to answer any questions, but yeah, basically just cleaning up things from the CIF funds. Thank you.
Councilwoman McCraney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want a clarification, and I asked the question earlier, but I was away from my office, so I don't know if it was answered. In that breakdown at the end, it was a D27. Can you explain what that means?
I will defer to Beth Stenberg to explain where D27 came from.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and I did see your email. Thank you, Beth Stenberg. D27 reflects that it's the Republican pool of capital projects that, for instance, the two that are on here are paving and another one was sidewalks. But we use the D27 so that all district-funded projects have a D and then their district number. So it's just to recognize that it's from the Republican pool.
So 27, because there's 26 districts, I guess.
I just picked the next number.
Okay.
Yeah, let me reassure everybody, there's no conspiracy to create a 27th district. But yeah, so just an
Right.
accounting gimmick, because we have to put it someplace. But yeah, and you'll see that like, for example, I'm picking on one of the lines, but it says D27, and just for those that are looking at the chart, Republican paving in districts 11, 16, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24. So it is stipulating which districts, but it's, it's all at least during that fiscal year, the Republican caucus districts, so.
Great, thank you. And then there was an amendment that Councilman Piagentini wanted to offer, and I think he was going to ask Beth if she would explain the amendment, right?
Yes, I would like to make a motion for an amendment, and if Beth would like to elaborate on the amendment.
Thank you.
It is one of those things that when you're putting so many things together, something always gets left out sometimes. So we had one of the ordinance itself was not in balance when you had first reading. So the document you're looking at now is in balance. And so it's just an amendment. Holly may want to add a little bit more, but it's just to make sure that this ordinance is in balance because you cannot pass one that's not.
Holly Hopkins with the Jefferson County Attorney's Office. An amendment was needed because it wasn't just numbers that were out of balance. There was an entire ordinance that had not been referenced in the body of the ordinance in the title, and it's been added. And the ordinance is now in balance.
Great, and it's not a technical amendment, we have to
No.
actually
No.
make
No.
it as an amendment. So I
Right.
have a motion on the floor for the
Motion,
amendment, I need a second, great. Properly motioned and seconded. Any conversation about the ordinance that's before us with the amendment?
Just the
Okay, can we vote?
conversation on the amendment.
Can we get a vote on the amendment, please? A voice vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. Now we have the amended ordinance before us, again with no conversation. I'm going to call for a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the voting.
Voting is open. Councilwoman Parrish Wright,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCraney,
Yes.
Chair Kramer, you have 10 yes votes.
Thank you, colleagues. That was the last item that we're going to take up in Budget Committee. So without objection, before I say that. So very soon, I am going to, without objection, adjourn this meeting. The next meeting was supposed to have started at 5. There's typically a little bit of shifting time in between the meetings to give people a chance to get ready. The amount of time that people need to get ready is less than the amount of time that you want to take in order to leave the chambers and come back. So unless it's necessary, stay put. Without objection, we are adjourned. And as soon as as soon as the clerk is ready, we're going to go ahead and start with the next meeting. So if you all will move forward, we'll start back as soon as we possibly can.